Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cyprian. Mr. Cyprian has done a very exhaustive work talking about the CSC development teams, but I'll just run through the form. And
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Joanna, we can hear you.
Okay. I said the templates I used this year.
hello?
Yeah, Joanna, you were disconnected for a while. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly. So let me know when I should, click to the next slide. So
All right.
I'm with you.
All right then. So the title of my presentation this evening is Filling the Commonwealth Scholarship Application Online Form. We all know that if you want to apply for the Commonwealth Scholarship, you're not submitting your form in hard copy. It's usually online. And so I'll just do a brief rundown of what the online form looks like. Next slide, please. Okay, here we have the outline, the preliminary, the contact and personal details. Basically, the parts of the form that I'll be discussing this evening. Next slide, please. Okay, the first part of the Commonwealth application is setting up an account. And here you be required to have a username and a password. The way the Commonwealth scholarship form is structured is so that you might not be able to finish filling up everything at a sitting, right? So the username and password is more like your access to return to the form subsequently to finish up your application or continue from where you have stopped. Now, another thing again is they will ask you eligibility questions such as your nationality. We all know that not all countries are eligible for the Commonwealth scholarship. It's limited to Commonwealth countries. And in case you are probably not from a Commonwealth country and you are trying to apply, at this stage, you might not be able to proceed. I hope we are together. Next slide,
yes,
please.
we
Okay, next slide. So the next details you fill in are your contact details and personal details. Contact details here, they will request for your residential address. Residential address is different from your postal address. Residential address means where you stay, right? And postal address is where you receive mails or where you want them to send, documents and parcels to you. So you'll be required to fill in these details. You'll be required to get postcodes, to put in your postcode or zip code. And they also require your email address, your phone, your mobile number, your telephone number, your marital status, your date of birth, your gender, your ethnicity and disability. Now they're asking for marital status because especially for PhD scholarship, if you probably want to claim your family allowance, this would be very relevant. And then under these personal details, they also want to know about your family background. As your father attended the university before, as your mother attended the university before, does anybody have higher education in your family? They'll want to know about those details. So you fill it in appropriately and then you move. Next slide, please. All right. So once you're done with your personal details, a little too fast. Can you take it back? Yes, educational background. The next thing they want you to fill in is your educational background. Usually, you're not supposed to put in your secondary school qualification. When we applied last year, I didn't put that in. What they expect you to put here is your university degree and then other degree certificates you've had, maybe a master's, a postgraduate diploma, whatever you have. You're supposed to put this one here, and usually you should start with the latest. Let's say you had one 2020 and you had your first degree in 2017. You should start with the one you had in 2020 and then you move to the one you had subsequently. I also want to take note that the grading system in the UK is a little different. Or let me say on the portal is a little different. They use the magna cum laude, and then in Nigeria we use the first class, we use second class upper and 2-2. So try and ensure, I'm a little biased, but just try and ensure that you look for the equivalent in your own country so that you're able to fill in the appropriate commensurate grade in the online system. And then you can put in as many qualifications as possible. Then they'll ask you a question about if you've had any education outside your home country. If you have had, you should declare it. And if not, you should say no. Next slide, please. The next platform or the next session is where you talk about the papers you've published or publications you've published in journals, your contribution to books, to learning generally, and to the body of knowledge. You should talk about it here. And then whatever award you've received or academic distinction, maybe you were a best graduating student in your school, or you're the best graduating student in a particular course, or you had a distinction, you won a scholarship some times ago, you should also put that here. So basically, this here is talking about, wants you to talk about your achievements and other awards that you have gotten over time. So your papers, your publications, your award, your academic distinction, you should articulate them here. Next slide. Yes, employment history. Last year on the Commonwealth site, you could only input a maximum of 5 employment history. So let's say you have more than 5, you've worked more than 5 roles. I will advise that you pick the most relevant to the course you are applying for, right? And then input those roles. And you will need to put a start date, you need to put the end date. Let's say you started January 2020 and ended December 2021. You need to put all those dates there. And you need to highlight your responsibility on that role. Maybe you were let's say you were a research assistant in a university. You talk about the fact that you probably took 100 level students in a particular course, and then you're required to mark, or you mentored students, or you took courses in maybe you took students in another department. You should state your responsibility on that role. You need to mention it. And let's say probably you were working as let's say in a government office, and you're probably working as a director. You should state what your roles entails or your responsibility entails in that position. So you're only entitled to put 5. I don't know if they are going to change it this year, but if it's going to be 5, please put the most relevant role to your application. Next slide. Yes, the next part is referees. Scholarships generally, and even with the Commonwealth, are very, very, very particular about who recommends you. Now, there's a session where you have to provide the name of your referees, their names, their job title, their email address, preferably an institutional email. If they are your university lecturers, don't use let's say they bear David Oyeme, don't use davidforlife@gmail.com. If they have an official email, let's say david.oyeme@futmina.edu.ng. If you can get something like that, it's better and it makes it more professional than using their personal mails. So you try and get you submit their names, their job title, and their email address. And then they'll also ask you to know their relationship with you. Were they your employers? Were they your academic tutor? Were they your teachers, or they your project supervisors? I will come to, okay, let me just talk about the types of references we have. There are 3 types of referee generally. Firstly, we have the academic references, and those are usually your university registrars, your lecturers in the faculty, your dean, your supervisor. They are your academic references. We also have professional references. This reference comes from people who you meet on your job roles, your employer, even your co-employees, or probably somebody who supervised you on a job on a professional capacity can write a referee for you. And then the third kind of reference is the referee that comes from volunteering, personal roles. Let's say you volunteered with an NGO now. It's not it's more like in a personal capacity where you probably served with them. So you could also submit that kind. For example, I'll give an example of myself. When I applied for last year's scholarship, I got 3 referees. The first referee was an academic referee. The second referee was a professional referee who was my employer at the time. And then the third referee was a personal referee who supervised me when I was volunteering in an organization. So the 3 kinds of referees are acceptable. The Commonwealth actually requires 2. You can fill in 3, but at least 2 people must submit. And I want to say here that please try and fill in for the 3 people. in case one person doesn't submit beforehand. And also take note of deadlines for referees. Usually referees deadline is like, I think 3 weeks after the main application has closed. So it's your duty to remind the referees. So referee even require you to draft the reference letter. Please try and draft it so that your reference letter and your impact statement, it synchronizes. There's a link. It's not, your referee is not saying something else, and application is saying something entirely different. So if your referee needs you to write it, please do write it and send to them. And also note here, family members cannot be your referees. Family members should not be your referees. I think cannot is too strong, but should not be your referees. So it's a good time to start reaching out to your lecturers, to start reaching out to people who you have worked with and can provide suitable references for you. Next slide, please. Now, Mr. Cyprian talked about CSC development teams. And basically, there are currently 6 CSC development teams. I've listed it in this slide. Ejiro will share it with us later, but I'll just run through it briefly. Science and technology for development, strengthening health system and capacity, promoting global prosperity, strengthening global peace, security and governance, strengthening resilience and response to crises. And the last one is access, inclusion and opportunity. Now, Mr. Cyprian talked about this, and I'm really excited that he did. It's very important that in choosing your course is related to at least one of these themes. I'll give you an example of my own self. For example, my master's, like Joshua already said, is in international human rights law and development. And the 16 of the 16, the one I picked here was strengthening global peace, security, and governance. My work is not related to science and technology, it's far from it. My work is not related to health system. It's not related to global prosperity. It's not related to resilience and response. It's actually related to access and inclusion, but you're only supposed to pick one of the assets. So you should pick the one that is most relevant to your essay, most relevant to the course you're applying for. So it's very, very, very important. Next slide. Another thing again that your application you should also consider in choosing your course is the sustainable development goal. Currently, this SDG, commonly called SDG, it started in 2015 and is supposed to end by 2030. And the Commonwealth also requires that what you are studying is linked to the SDG. So there are currently 17 SDG in number: life in water, life on land, different SDGs. So you are required to ensure that your work is related you pick 3 of these 17 that is closely related to your work. Yeah. So to read more about the SDG, because of our time, please just go onto this link or just Google it on Facebook, or just Google SDG. You see all the information you need to know about the SDG and their targets, and you should be able to take it from there. The next slide, please. Now, Mr. Cyprian talked about essays, so I may not really dwell much on this, but one very important component of the Commonwealth Scholarship is your essays. Your essays are the opportunity, because unlike Chevin, Commonwealth doesn't really organize interviews. So your essay is the platform to which they can really know you. And like Mr. Cyprian said, please avoid general statements in your essays. Avoid giving, just making blanket statements. Ensure that your essay is so personal. They want to know what is the problem that you've identified in your community. Who are the beneficiary audience, right, of this problem you identified? How would this scholarship help you achieve this better? And how can we measure your growth? I'll give you an example of my own essay. For example, my essay was on, now I've done some things with people in prison, indigent persons in prison. When I was serving, I was privileged to do some work with my colleague aid group, and we used to go to court. Then we used to go to the prison, we get files of people who didn't have lawyers, and we'll go to court, represent them, and then either they are discharged or they are acquitted, or something happens, or they are convicted, one of the two. So that was our work. Our purpose then was to ensure that indigent people who are poor and could not afford legal services get it. So what did I say was the problem? The problem is that there are many people who are in prison and do not have access to legal aid. They can't afford legal services, and so it's a problem we identified. Who will be the beneficiary? The beneficiary of this our project, of this my project, will be suspects who are in prison and cannot afford to pay, or cannot afford to get a lawyer to represent them in court. How will the scholarship make me better? The scholarship will equip me with all I need to know about human rights management, would help me interact with institutions such as the Nigerian Correctional Service, help me put me in a position to talk to the government, ensure that there's change in policy, things like that. And then how do you measure the capacity? What I stated was that hopefully the number of indigent persons in Ilorin prison should decrease over a period of time. So I just gave an example of my own essay. Next slide, please.
Just on a side note, you have about 5 more minutes. Thank you.
Okay. All right then. Thank you. Next slide, please. The other essays, Mr. Sipi already mentioned these objectives during the award, your career plans, your long-term plans, usually between 200 to 500 words. So please ensure that you don't let these things be so personal. Don't just, like he said, they are giving you 30 to 40,000 pounds. They need to know that you are worth the money. And how would they know? By crafting. You should not lie. I'm not encouraging you to lie. Just be honest and state what you really want to do. Don't try to frame up things. Don't say what you're not doing, right? So you have other essays to write, and between 200 to 500 words. Next slide, please. Now, the next part is, Mr. Siprin talked about this, to institution or course of choices. Now, there for masters, you can either put in a university, but the maximum is 3. And you're supposed to select your courses and then the institution. And they will ask you to also put your current admission status, whether it's conditional offer or you have an unconditional offer, you're yet to apply, or maybe they are yet to respond to you, you've applied, or they are yet to give you a response. You should state all of that. And then if you have any contact person in the university, it could be your international admission officer. It doesn't have to be your supervisor like PhD. It could be probably the international student office or the admission office. You could put their email address there as the contact person. And you will also be required to write another essay on why you chose those courses and why you chose that school. So you also required to select 3 keywords. For example, my topic, my keywords were human rights, development, and security. Those were the 3 words that were my keywords. So you also need to do things like that. And I also want to encourage us to start applying to schools. Start applying to UK schools now, so that by the time you're able to submit your application, you have admissions already. When I did mine, I got the admission I used to get this scholarship in 2019. I kept deferring. So by the time I was submitting the application early this year, that was, I think it closed 18th of January this year, I already had this admission letter to give them. So please, it's not too late. Don't say because it's not this, they just had an academic session. Apply now, get the admission letter if possible. And if not, you can just put yet to or stay in the process. So try and get the admission as soon as possible. Send the documents to them, write your SOPs, and send to the school. Next slide. Now you still have more essays, right? The last set of essays are your personal statements. This is a part where you have to talk about yourself, what your drives are, what your ambition are, what your passion is. It's just a point to sell yourself, right? Talk about yourself, talk about why you need the scholarship and things like that. Then the next thing is your volunteering and leadership experience. Let me state here that the Commonwealth Scholarship is actually looking for 3 things. 1, academic excellence. 2, leadership experience. And 3, your volunteering role. They want to see that when they sponsor you, you have the heart to serve, right? So that when you come back, you are somebody that is able to drive change. So the volunteer and leadership experience essay part is a part to talk about, to outline your stakes in leadership, your volunteering roles, the ones you've done over time, leadership positions in church, in school, in the university during service year, even currently, whatever it is you do, just put it together and, as your volunteering and leadership experience. So like I'll say again, don't lie. If you've not done it, you don't have to say it. Next slide, please. Now, the next part is document upload. You're supposed to upload some documents. You need international passport, is very important. You need your transcripts from the university. You could, like for me, for example, I used a student copy and it was accepted. So you can also use your student copy. The university certificate is very important, and other degree you filled, other educational information you filled at the initial stage, you should be able to supply those other documents. I'm sorry I didn't put that, but whatever qualification you filled as having obtained or in the process of obtaining, you should be able to provide documents to back that up. And then the next thing you should put, although this is optional, is offer letters from UK. If you have any offer already, you can also upload that on the CSC portal. Next slide, please. Now, at this point, you're almost running up the application. They want to know how you got to know about the scholarship through a friend. They want to know how you got to know, and then you agree to the terms and conditions, their privacy settings, and then they want to declare again that you do not have the ability to sponsor yourself in the UK. Now, I think another part I left out is that if you've applied before, they might ask you to put the years you applied, right? State the years you also applied. So, but I left that out here. So they just ask you about other questions about how you got to know about the scholarship, agree to their privacy settings, share your information and all of that. And then a final check is look through your documents for errors or mistakes. Once you are done, you can submit. Upon submission, you will not be able to edit your application again. Then once you submit, you'll be able to download a PDF copy of your application. Next slide, please. Now, the way CS scholarship works, you are either nominated by your government or by another agency. So you would have picked the agency you want at the initial stage. So when you are done, you should reach out to that agency and ask them what they will need you to do. Some agency will only ask you to send a PDF copy of your application, and some will even require you come for physical interview with your documents. So please ensure that you follow up on the requirements of your nominating agent or your nominating body so that you are able to follow up through with it properly. Next slide, please. In conclusion, do not forget the God factor. In the end, it is the mercy and grace of God that makes a difference. I started applying for Commonwealth scholarship since 2018, and it was in 2021 I eventually got it. So I just want to encourage us here, put in your best, and in all you do, please don't forget the God factor. Thank you for your attention.
Wow. Thank you very, very much, Miss Joanna. I would say that if not that I was formerly a Commonwealth scholar, just your speech alone is enough to encourage me to submit another application. But let us keep that on hold for another time. So thank you once more. I'm sure a lot of people were able to get enough from what you have to share. So without taking much of our time, I will be introducing our next speaker. And believe me, you are getting it from those who have the experience. Yeah. So we have our next speaker to be Mr. Michael Fadeyi, who is a journalist by training and a disability advocate and a feminist by divine providence. He has a first degree in mass communication from the University of Lagos and a master's in communication for development from the University of Reading in the UK. He is currently a PhD student at the School of Global Studies, University of Sussex, also in the UK. He's doing a cross-cutting research in gender, culture, and disability. So do well to welcome Mr. Michael Fadeyi. So Mr. Michael, please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope my camera is well focused.
Yeah, it's well focused. Although I think everywhere is already dark, it's already getting late. Yeah,
okay.
But we're okay. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for the introduction, and I thank everybody who has put this together. And it's my hope that everyone who has attended will grasp everything that has been said. And unfortunately, my two previous speakers have made my job harder because they've gone through everything. Even though I was meant to talk about the development impact, but I couldn't have done anything better than what Cyprian has done. So the first thing I would tell people now, mine will just be a bit something I think nobody really talked about, especially for the PhD, is try and get your, there's a noise at the background somewhere. I think somebody's microphone is on. Thank you.
I think yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So the first thing you should do as a PhD student is try and get your admission as soon as possible, because it is the most difficult thing to do. Most times, even when you have very good topics or research problems, getting a suitable supervisor or getting a supervisor who is even willing to take you up could be very daunting. I know, for example, even in my university, when I finished from Reading, I was actually a Chevron scholar in 2018. And then I was speaking to one of my lecturers, and he told me, Michael, if you could wait until 2022, then I'll have space. Right now, I'm overburdened with too many PhD students. So just imagine somebody telling you to wait for 2 3 years. And as I always tell people, sometimes when these opportunities come, it's best you grasp them immediately so that you get them when the momentum is high. So begin as a point of reference to interact with as many schools and supervisors as much as possible. And then one of the things that you require in the PhD application is they want to see the level of interaction you had with your supervisors. That's one of the questions they will ask you in the PhD. They want to see that you've been engaging, and they want to see the quality of work that has gone into your proposal through your interaction with your supervisors. So that is also very essential. Another thing that is also essential, yes, Joanna talked about the SDGs. There's nothing in the world that you would want to do today that you would not require the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals. It is an all-inclusive development protocol, and it's different from the Millennium Development Goals. Because the Millennium Development, the issue of development was, whereas what the Sustainable Development Goals did is to say that the world itself, we are at different levels of development, but there is no country that has totally attained full development. As such, we all require more attention in making sure that the world is a better place. So even though we call some countries developed countries, but even within those developed countries, there are some cracks. At least there are beggars, there are poor people, even in US and UK, for example. And even when you are talking about health index, US is not one of the leading health index, and even in the UK. In fact, a lot of the Nordic countries are even better when you are talking about education and health. So that means there's nothing you are going to do that you would not require the Sustainable Development Goals. So if you don't know them, just as Joanna said, please go and read up, ask questions. There's nothing you will do that you will not require them. Then apart from that too, because you are applying for Commonwealth, there's a lot of UK intervention in development in your country. It's also good that what you want to do has a bearing on the development efforts or the interventions that the UK is carrying out in your own country. So you need to read up, you need to research, you need to Google, you need to find out, go to the Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office, go to their website, go to your own country, you will see the different things they are doing in your country. Let it be an integral part of your development impact and the things you intend to do. So that's another one. Then what I also tell people is, just as Joanna said, you have a God factor. For me, if it were not for COVID, I would not have got this scholarship at this point in time, because this scholarship, I think, comes out between September and November for the first stage. But last year it came out December and January. And I got to know even 2 weeks before the expiration of the application process. So if it were not for COVID that made them to shift it to that time, then I wouldn't have applied. because even at that September, I was just coming into the country. So, and I didn't know much because I got to do my master's through the Chevening Scholarship. So I didn't know so much about the Commonwealth. Then another thing you must also know is nobody knows it all. Even what you are trying to do, whether as a master's or PhD, the problem you are trying to solve, there are people who have done things in that area. You are just bringing an addition to what has been done. So to a very great extent, you must be sure that what you are doing is legendary. What you are doing, you are building on other people's knowledge. You need collaboration. So just as I said, for me, Udo Akakman, I'm sure he's not here. Even Ejiro, we were talking yesterday, and I told her the role she played in ensuring that I got the scholarship, as well as Cyprian. So you would need people along your way, ask questions. And then one thing I would say, yes, Joanna took you through the rudiments of that application. But because I got in about 2 weeks before the end of the application, I was writing and writing, feeling. I would just say, oh, 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, 30%. When I do, even after I write about 3 or 4, I say I'm just in 50 something percent. So it was so cumbersome. But at a stage, what I did was I just feel rubbish to the very end, because it now enabled me to see all the things that they required at every stage. So I was now able to prepare. I did it up to the point of, okay, you cannot click on submission. So that enabled me to, okay, I get all the questions required, because if you don't fill a particular portion or segment of the application, it will not take you to the next. So that's something you can also do, although Joanna has been taking you through. But once you are filling, yes, you can save and then go. You can then know all the requirements that the CS is asking for. Then, just as we said, you must have a nominating agency. You need to know their requirements. For example, in Nigeria, if you are working in the academia, then your university can nominate you. And then apart from that, what you also have is the Federal Scholarship Board, which to me can be extremely cumbersome. I thank God I did not have to go through that route. So you need to go through the Federal Scholarship Board. And in the case of the Federal Scholarship Board, a lot of times they don't communicate via email. A lot of people missed the interview because they were waiting for mails. But you need to check the website of the Nigeria Scholarship Board, so that you would know. They will tell you there when they are organizing for your region, and then you have to go to Abuja, and they will tell you the documents that they also require. So you have to keep on checking that website very well. They will not send you an email. And then for another, this thing is we have Forum for Women in Education. They are also a nominating agency, a private nominating, an NGO that can also nominate you. And the last one which I used was the Commonwealth Disabled People's Forum. Because when it came to the issue of using the Federal Scholarship Board, I was not too comfortable, because I know that in Nigeria, you go through rigors, and apart from that, a lot of things is not done on merit. Somebody was telling me that somebody got the CSC master's this thing. He was just at home, and they just brought him the form. Okay, do this, do this. They got somebody to do that. So for me, I was a bit skeptical, and I spoke to someone. I actually spoke to Ejiro, and she just gave me the information. Oh, you could go through the Commonwealth Disabled People's Forum. So I wrote to them, and they told me about their requirements. And thankfully, they told me they only have 5 slots, 3 for women and 2 for men. I said, even if it will be a man, I will be the one that will take that slot. So you need to ask questions. You need to try and find the necessary contact. Those are the things that will help you. Then what I also say is, opportunity comes opportunity must comes with preparation. If you are not prepared, even when opportunities come, you will not be able to take hold of those opportunities. For me, while we were on lockdown in the UK, I applied, I perfected my research proposals, I got admission, and then I had to defer the admission because I didn't get funding around that time. And luckily, when I got to know about the CSE, I only got back to University of Sussex. Oh, my deferred admission, can you just send me my admission letter again? And they did it in just 24 hours. So imagine, even if I wanted to fill the form at that point in time, and in 2 weeks, it will be almost impossible to get a school, much less admission. So sometimes when opportunities come, you need to be prepared. There's no haphazard way of doing it. And then the last thing I would say is your scholarship, it costs a lot and they demand a lot from you. So you must be somebody who is self-motivated. Motivation in the sense that you have a problem, you've seen a problem that you think you can address. It must be something that keeps you awake at night, or that even when you are sleeping, you wake up and you are thinking. It must be something, so it's not just a way of getting out of your country. There must be a burning desire that you really want to do. And that opportunity gives you a leverage over others. So somehow it is a very prestigious program, whether the CSC or any other scholarship that you get that is fully funded. So you must be able to prepare yourself adequately so that when the opportunities come, you're able to take hold of them. I think I'll stop here. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Michael Fadeyi. Your words are truly inspiring. You know, they said when opportunity meets preparation, success is inevitable. Although I know I didn't point it out earlier, but Mr. Fadeyi, who is joining us, is visually impaired. So you see that regardless, even as he said that he applied to the Commonwealth Disabled People's Forum, he was still able to get the scholarship. So as he said in his last words, it's mostly about your motivation, what you want to do, what inspires you to, burn the midnight candle, and not just enough reason to japa from Nigeria, because a lot of us wants to japa, which I understand, but that will be a conversation for another day. So at this very point, I would introduce the host, Matilda Ejiro Ikoko, who would lead us through a part before inviting in final speaker for a recap. Thank you very much, Matilda. The floor is yours. Matilda, you're on mute. Sorry, you're on mute. Do you mind unmuting yourself?
Okay, it's kind of funny, right? I'm trying to spotlight my video. I don't know if they can see me. Can you see me? Yinka. Yinka.
Yeah, we can see. It depends on the view of the viewer, so we can all see.
Yeah, I'm trying to put up, I'm streaming live on Facebook, so I'm trying to
sure. Okay, it's online. I just verified for Facebook as well.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm good. I'll spotlight
Yeah,
that.
you're good. Yeah, please.
Wait, thank you. So Yinka, that jumper was kind of funny. Yeah, great. So I'm not actually going to speak much. I just want to point out some things. Regarding the nominating agency, I'll just focus on Nigeria, and Sipa will just come back in the next few minutes and talk about nominating agency in other countries. So in Nigeria, we have universities, we have Farwell, that is it's an NGO for women in research and education. We have FSB, Further Scholarship Board in Nigeria, Abuja, and we also have Disability Forum. So I am also a Commonwealth Masters and PhD scholar. So my Masters was nominated by Farwell and my PhD was FSB. So how Farwell works, Farwell is just for only women, not men. So women have an advantage. But however, this is how it works. Once you finish submitting your application to Commonwealth, you will send Farwell a copy of your application. So that is it. There is no interview. So they will sit on the applications and decide who they will nominate. And just to be safe, you can actually send them a mail, let them acknowledge that they received your application. So the email to do that, I think that should be on the website of Commonwealth Issues. It's there. Then regarding universities, there are some further schools that are nominating their staff, their lecturers, their staff. So I don't know how each school works. So you have to go to your school and inquire how it works. Then regarding FSB, like Michael mentioned, yeah, FSB have some requirement that they want. So if you don't have it, please don't bother yourself because they will not let you be interviewed. I saw that last time. So please, most of the requirement is 2-1, admission, volunteering, a lot of documents, but at least the compulsory ones I know during my time was admission and class of degree. Other ones they can let you go, but those ones are compulsory. So please, like Michael mentioned, a lot of people missed the interview of FSB because they were expecting to look for a mail, but they didn't get a mail. So please always go to the website to check for information so you won't miss this opportunity. So thank you so much. I will now invite Cyprian to just do a few minutes on other country nominating agency. Then Yinka will take a few questions just for today. Then we'll call it a night and focus on tomorrow where we have a lot of questions and answers. So if I were you, I will go back and look at my application and what I don't understand, I'll come with it tomorrow and ask questions because you have about 1 hour with each of the mentors to ask what you want to ask. So please, let's maximize the opportunity. Thank you. So Sipan.
Thank you very much, Jiro. Nomination is very important. As you know, Commonwealth scholarship, there are no direct applications. You cannot make a direct application because the scholarship form, or the online scholarship form, can only be submitted to a nominating agency. Now, for most countries, there would usually be a government nominating agency, like the one that Jiro has referred to in Nigeria. In different countries, there are different government departments that look at this. But these government departments have very strict rules about who they nominate and why. But there are certainly open nominations which take place through certain organizations. For example, Southern African countries, I think 11 of them, Zambia, Malawi, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Lesotho, Swaziland. There's the Canon Collins Trust. They don't require previous screening. And they don't require you to send them a nomination form. You just select Canon Collins on the nominating agency. But it's very competitive. I talked to the Canon Collins scholarship officer, and she told me that they nominate 14 candidates, 7 PhD, 7 masters, and normally they get around 300 applications. So it's very competitive. But as I tell most people, you have to make sure your application is very impressive. If you don't have very good grades, you can actually become a better candidate through the S's. I personally know someone who had a lower second class and a master's, but they managed to get a PhD Commonwealth scholarship by applying through Canon Collins because their research was very good. It was just too good. I even told the person when she was applying that your research proposal is very good. And she went through the process. There are other organizations as well. There's something that Michael Fadei has mentioned. The Commonwealth, let me just quickly check the exact name. Commonwealth Disabled People's Forum. They have specific criteria and they close their applications for nominations on 1st November. I will share the link probably today or tomorrow. I mean, if you are visually impaired or you have some kind of physical impairment, you probably meet their requirements and you can get in touch with them. But you have to meet the criteria that they put in place. For example, the Michael is visually impaired. That's why he was able to use them. And if you have any other physical impairment, hopefully you should be able to use them. I'll share the link to their website that you can have a look at if you think you qualify. And I'm sure most countries have a couple of several nominating agencies. Make sure you know their requirements, because every nominating agency is free to set its own requirements for nominations. As I've said, Southern Africa, there's Collins. It has no requirements apart from the fact that you come from Southern Africa. So you can apply through Collins, but it's very tough. I mentioned that at a minimum, they get 300 applications, but they can only nominate 14 applicants, 7 PhD, 7 masters. So it's very, very tough. But I've seen a few, actually I know several, probably close to 15 who have made it through Collins. So it's if you have very good essays, you make it. The key is the essay. I think I'll hand over to Ichiro. I'll just share the Commonwealth the Disabled People's Forum in the link. Thank you.
Yinka, please.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Ejiro, are you leaving the floor for me?
Yes, just let's just pick a few questions, then we'll focus tomorrow.
All right, thank you very much. So some of the questions have already been addressed in the chat. For example, someone asked for the link to apply. He couldn't find the direct link of apply here, and that has been shared in the chat. And then someone asked the nominating agencies for Nigeria. It's FSB, which is Federal Scholarship Board, Farway, and the Harley Network. You will see it in the Commonwealth form. And then someone asked if you could have more than one nominating agency. You could only select one nominating agency. And then someone asked, Joanna, just in case you might need help.
Okay, so I need to interrupt on that. Sorry, Jinka. You can actually go to more than one nominating agency. So for example, I applied, I applied via Farwell and via FSB. So at the end of the day, one person has to nominate you if you're qualified. So I advise women, if you have more than one opportunity, so let's take advantage of it. So someone also asked, can I use the same email address? It's your choice. I have a friend that got a PhD, she used the same email address. I didn't use the same email address.
Sorry, Ejiro, I muted you. Can you please unmute? Yeah, thank you. I was trying to mute the other individual. Yeah, please proceed.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Please, let's try to turn off our mic. So as I was saying,
you said
we can go to more than one nominating agency. So if you're a lecturer, for example, and you're a female, you can use 3. So you can use FSB, you can use your university, and you can use Farwell. If you're a male and you're a lecturer, you can use your university and FSB. Then if you have any kind of impairment, you can use also the impairment organization. So you can actually do more than one application if you're qualified for the nominating agency. And please, while Yinka read some of the questions and also try to answer some, our speakers, please, Joanna, Michael, and Sipan, please, you can feel free to come in and also make contributions, please. Thank you. Yinka, please.
All right, thank you very much for highlighting that, Ejiro. I see at this very point, when you say we could use multiple nominating agency, this is the part where I wish I was also a male and a female at the same time, just so that I could take advantage of all the options I have. Yes, I would appreciate it if Joanna would help with a particular question. Someone said, we would need more light on getting admission before application. And for those without admission, what are the nuggets we should note? This was asked by one of the audience. Joanna, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, please. We will appreciate your input on that. Thank you.
Okay. Speaking on admission, I'll be speaking
Just,
basically on
2 minutes
masters.
at most.
On
just so
masters,
yeah.
I won't be able to speak on PhD because I'm also in the process. So, but for masters, the good thing with UK schools are that you can apply anytime. And what you basically need is your statement of purpose, your degrees, and then they ask you to provide a reference and you submit. Now you can, let's say for example, you applied this year and then maybe you didn't get the scholarship this year. You have the option of deferring your admission, right? So that they hold their offer for you. So next year when you're applying, you don't have to start all over again, sending references and all. You can, like I mentioned earlier, the admission I used to get this scholarship. In fact, let me say the 3 admissions that I imputed, I told you that you can put 3 schools. They were all deferred admissions. The admissions I had since that had been deferring, there are some they said I could not defer again, so I had to let it go. So, but I would say just keep applying. And it's very easy. Go to the school's website. The school website states the details. Some universities, some schools will ask you to do English exam. Some you don't need to. They could waive it for you. If you can provide us, show to them that you had your first degree and you were taught in English language, you are proficient in English, or you have a B in your WAEC, most schools usually will waive it off for you. For the 4 or 5 schools that I got admission in the UK, I didn't write IELTS and I have not written. I just used my WAEC as a grant to, they waived the English requirement for me. And then I was able to provide, my school gives this thing they call English proficiency letter. So you could as well also apply for that too. They'll just state that you're proficient in English and you're taught in English. And then there's a part of my university transcript that also provides that the courses listed above were taught in English. So you could also do that. So like I'll say, get online, get searching for schools, get searching for the courses and apply. That's for masters.
All right. Thank you very much, Joanna.
I think I can add on that.
Yes, please.
Yes, I just
briefly,
say,
so we pick other few
when
questions.
it comes to Commonwealth scholarship, if your nominating agency does not require you to apply for a place, you don't need to. Actually, you're gonna be selected for a Commonwealth scholarship without a place. I know someone who was actually selected, but it tends to delay your placement. I mean, the final confirmation of the award, because the Commonwealth will only confirm your award if you have a place. But they will not fail to consider your scholarship because you don't have an offer, or you only have a conditional offer. So apply even if you don't have an offer. It's good to have an offer, but if you don't have an offer, you can still apply. They will consider your application. I know people who have succeeded before they got an offer. So, and these were PhD scholars. I think the same would probably apply to to master's scholars. The key is meet the requirements that are stipulated by your nominating agency, because most nominating agencies require an offer. But the ones I mentioned, for example, for Southern Africa, Canon Collins does not require an offer. So it varies from nominating agency to nominating agency, but Commonwealth itself does not require you to have an offer. That is why you indicate on the form whether you have an offer, you do not have an offer. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Cyprian. I'm actually multitasking, typing too many things as well.
Okay, I'm sorry. So sorry. I need to add to that so you will not forget. Please, Cyprian is very correct. However, for the nominating agency, at least I'm speaking from experience in Nigeria, one of their requirements is admission. It's a way to skip people out. So the fact that Commonwealth can still secure your place if you have scholarship with admission, your nominating agency might not give you that opportunity to even be interviewed. So please, for nominating agency purpose, try to get all their documents.
Okay.
Sorry,
we'll
one more thing, please.
Yeah.
Sorry, please, Inka. I saw somebody putting your hands up. Please, for now, we are not doing oral questions, so just drop your chat. But tomorrow you can have oral questions. You can speak to the speakers yourself, just for time constraints. So please drop a message on the chat. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll just take 2 more questions. I know your questions are coming in and they are quite overwhelming and very helpful. I am only hoping that tomorrow you can direct these questions, particularly to our speakers in the different breakout rooms, and they'll be very, very much glad to give you a response. So just to ask 2 more questions, and then we call it a night or a day, depending on what part of the world.
Okay, somebody is asking about if the scholarship is restricted to courses. There are different kinds of Commonwealth scholarship. So this one, the one we are talking about currently, is the Commonwealth Scholarship Masters, and then you can apply to any course. It is the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship that is restricted to some courses and even some schools. So, but for this one, as far as your school is in the United Kingdom and UK, I mean Northern Ireland, Scotland, England itself, and Wales, you can actually apply to any school. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Just to see if Ejiro can answer that, or Cyprian. Someone asked that, how do you apply through 2 nominating agencies? That's one. And in relation to that, someone equally asked how does his University of Usman Dan Fodio, I guess, nominate him for the scholarship? So how does one apply through the university, and then how does one make use of multiple nominating agencies? Because I think on the form, you can only get to select one, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, please, Ejiro or any other person.
Cyprian is my mentor, so please, mentor, answer that. Thank you.
Thank you for putting me on the spotlight. I think the only way that I know for applying to different nominating agencies without creating problems for yourself is just to complete the same form twice using different emails. That's the easiest way I can think of, because if you try, someone tried, but they had a problem because their form somehow went missing from the system. And when they tried to apply to different nominating agencies using one form. So I don't like taking risks with technology. Go simple, use 2 different emails, fill the form twice with the 2 different logins. That's much safer. I mean, I can't trust technology. I don't know what it will do. It can end up in frustration.
Okay, let me also add that for every application form, your applicant fill, it generates a different number. So if you fill a form today and start an application, another number comes out. So what Cyprian is saying is actually correct. However, I have a colleague, she's also a PhD scholar, she used the same email, but so when she got the award, she was confused who nominated her because she does not know who. So to be safe, just use different email, but if you don't have different email, then fine. Use the same, but each application will have different number. That's how it works, to generate the number itself. So Yinka, over to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So to pick the last question, just to ask someone next, please, can someone apply for a PhD without masters? So this is a very controversial one, but then it all depends. I really don't want to comment on that. So it's not a general comment. I believe that there are some universities, or it depends on the program, and it also depends on the supervisor, and it depends on the circumstance. You can actually be admitted with just a bachelor's degree for a PhD program. That is if you have exceptional results. For example, if you have a first class. Someone asks how fair is the FSB process. So I can't really speak for the FSB, but I can say the FSB process is quite fair enough. I have a female who knows nobody, who knows the son of nobody, through nobody of nobody, and applied on merit, and she got it. So what I'm saying is, please let us not look at the Nigerian system that it is biased or whatever. Put in a good application. Be convinced about what you write. Trust the process. Trust yourself. At least you have to trust yourself first before you allow someone else to vet your application. And then, of course, at that point, just leave everything to God, and He will settle the matter for you. So at this point, I think.
So let me add to that. Now, what you said actually correct. However, this is actually very important. Nominating agency have their rules. For FSB, during my time, for a PhD, you need a master's. That is their role. Their role is their role. Okay, so even if a UK school give you admission in PhD directly from, yes, that's fine. But for FSB, they will not even want to interview without a master's. So that is just how it works. So somehow, I think the nomination agency have an upper hand in this somehow, because without them, Commonwealth will not know you. So they need to nominate you for Commonwealth to know you. So that's how it works. Thank you.
Yeah, you didn't. Nobody said anything about how university nominates for the.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It depends on the university. Every university have their rules. So the way FUTO works might not be the way Uniport work, or the way AIMS work, or any school. Yes. So every school have the policy. So Commonwealth has no business with the agency policy. The agency bring out their policy themselves. Do you understand? So I cannot speak for any school.
Okay.
But our advice, go to your DVC. Mostly it should be DVC research or DVC ACAD that should handle these things. So they should guide you on how to get
Vice Chancellor. All right then. Hopefully we would have more questions tomorrow. So tomorrow, at this very point, I'd like to thank everyone for attending. I'll thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. And I'd like to thank the speakers, specifically Cyprian, Mr. Michael Fadei, and Joanna. You guys really did justice to both the MSc and the PhD scholarship. Your contributions would really go a long way in affecting the lives of everyone who attended the scholarship. And as I said, if not that I was already, I was already a Commonwealth scholar, certainly, I would have just applied for another scholarship, just out of conviction from your words. So I'd like to thank everyone once again. I'll thank Ejiro for hosting the program. And just in case any speaker has any comments, just before I, tell everyone a wonderful night rest or wonderful afternoon, wherever part of the world you are.
I don't know if Ejiro could share her contacts so that some people maybe can send in questions. Because
okay, yeah, that's great.
If we take the questions tomorrow, it might take a bit of time. So